Blowing some smoke on this week's episode of Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Kavan Bordelon. It has been a fantastic recording episode here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. We've got Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade, here with us. Wave hi, Caleb. Put him on video for a sec. Okay, good. Now we're going to go to the bar. What are you laughing about back there, Aaron? I know you don't have a camera, you don't have a mic, you laugh. I know, I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
He's like, Caleb just put food in his mouth. He's about to drink whiskey. Why would we do this to him?
Because we can.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And at the bar, we have even more fun. We have Triple H, who is Hold Harmless Harmon from Dupree Carrier Godshaw, and of course, Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist, Renee Girard. Renee, what's our stogie of the month for December?
I picked a fun one.
Okay.
The Esteban Carrera Chupacabra.
Ooh.
Natural.
I can say Chupacabra.
Yeah.
I like the name.
Chupacabra.
I like the name.
Yeah.
It's like Lake Titicaca.
And wait, what's the first name at the front of it?
The Esteban Carrera.
So this is like the Marie Esteban Carrera, Manuel Noriega. Chupacabra. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got a Nicaraguan Habano wrapper, which is just Habano, but they grow it in Nicaragua. And then the filler and binder is Nicaraguan. It's what would be called a puro, which is pure, all from one country. Excellent cigar. It doesn't get a lot of press. It's just, and it's not a lot of people that carry that cigar. But it's a great smoke. I mean, it's not purdy. You know, our theme this week is purdy. This one is not purdy, but it tastes fantastic.
But it's got a pretty name. And so
no, you just like saying Chupacabra.
No, here we go. So just to make sure I got this right. This is the Manuel Noriega, Jose Valdez, Jose Cuervo Chupacabra, right?
No, Manuel Noriega's Panama.
Oh, okay. He's Panamanian.
You need to put that on a T-shirt. Never trust a pretty cigar.
It's Daniel Ortega.
Okay.
He's the guy in charge of Nicaragua. So it's the Daniel Ortega, Manuel
Jose
Gonzalez
Cuervo.
Jose,
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but like the chupacabra is not a pretty animal, right?
No, no.
So what's unattractive?
You know what?
about
What Chupacabra?
Whoa. Ring the bell first of all. That's assuming the Chupacabra is actually
it
an animal.
exists.
Yeah, but you know what
Yeah,
Chupacabra?
you know what? Everything exists.
You know what it translates to? Chupacabra,
Uh-oh. What, Renee?
Great cigar.
goat sucker.
Yes. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
Chupacabra is a goat sucker.
I was waiting on a bad Renee joke right
No,
there.
no,
I was
no,
like, This
no.
is gonna go south. But yes,
is it
goat
just-
sucker is what it translates.
Is
to.
the wrapper the wrapper the leaf not pretty? Is it just the shape of it? Is it not a nice?
No, it's just. I mean, it doesn't have the fancy box. It doesn't have a fancy shiny label.
Okay.
It's. I mean, it's a good looking cigar.
It's homely.
It's got a pigtail cap.
Great
which
personality.
it looks like, it's a little twirled up cap, and then it's got a kind of a shaggy foot. It's not a true shaggy foot.
So it's not all lit out.
The wrapper leaf, the wrapper leaf comes to the end, and then they kind of fold it over instead of just like some of them that they shorten the wrapper leaf and it's just kind of rough on the end. This one they fold the wrapper leaf over the end, over the foot of the cigar.
It's an Audi, not an innie.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
I really didn't want to think about that with regards to a cigar. That just brought back a bad Bill Clinton reference, and I don't want
Chupacabra.
anything to do with that. But no, that sounds like a great cigar. So something that's mild. And look, Renee,
I know, and you didn't
I'm
get
gonna
your
put
cigar.
it out there. I know. I'm gonna put it out there. My schedule has just been so off kilter.
We were at Winter Implicit dinner, and you called me up and
I
says,
know.
man, bring me a cigar. I did, and you were just so busy, meeting and greeting. He didn't even have time to come get his cigar.
Yeah, Renee gave me one, and it knocked me on my ass.
Yeah, he had to.
It was
he
good.
smoked
though.
about half of
yeah.
it.
And when I started noticing I was getting lightheaded, I was like, I didn't drink this much. And I looked at my hand, and I was like, Renee got me.
Speaking of
Now Tug wasn't there, but Matt was there, and I hooked him up. And
yes, yep.
he sucked that one up.
Speaking of things that are in the air, and I'm letting that comment go.
Yep.
Speaking of
That
things
goes
that
back
are
to
in
the
the
creamy
air,
mouthfeel.
yes, it does. Speaking of things that are in the air, this is an article that I had to send over, and the implications of what this means are so vast. A Florida lawmaker has submitted a law that prohibits aerial intervention into the climate in Florida.
Which would be cloud seeding. It would be chemtrails. It'd be all kinds of things.
Again, assuming chemtrails are real, but I mean, we have RFK who's basically said he's going to ban the spraying of chemicals into the atmosphere, which you would think would be a chemtrail, correct?
One would assume
Yeah.
as such.
I mean, I thought EPA already did that because they control all of the emissions from manufacturing and everything else. That's chemicals going into the atmosphere.
Well, if they did that and they did a good job, we'd all have nuclear power.
So let's also hold on. Wait, what?
Nuclear power, your main byproduct in the atmosphere is just steam. Right? You have the uranium and the plutonium
Yeah.
waste.
Okay, I see where
which
you're
is
going.
one thing,
Yeah, it took me a
but
second.
it's way more efficient and cost effective.
What you're saying is if the EPA was doing its job, the only power we would have would be nuclear power
yeah.
throughout the entire country. That makes sense.
Yep.
But here's the other thing, Renee. If the EPA was doing its job, the EPA doesn't necessarily regulate government, do they?
No.
There's no
They regulate us.
there's no one to
Correct.
check on the checker.
Yeah.
So here's what I find really interesting, and this is why, and we've talked about this on a show last week, states' rights are so important. So, look, I know that I have done a lot of different jobs in the past. I never told y'all about the time that I served as the valet for the man who owned all of the air over the entire city of Hong Kong, right? Because, no, I'm kidding. That's from a bad, Ocean's 12, 13 reference. He owns all the air over Shanghai, right? But the point is, somebody does own that air. Is it in fact the federal government, or is it in fact the states
No, I would think it's
who
state.
owns the airspace over its own state?
I would think it's state.
So this is why I think this is a really interesting conversation. Go ahead, Brian. I'll let
Well,
you.
the Florida law is in response, and I had to look this up. I read into it as soon as you had sent it to me. It's in response to it's either a federal statute or law. Excuse me for confusing the two. That does say the federal government does have a right to, in essence, spray chemicals in the air that may or may not involve the particular state in question. So that's why and Tennessee had done something a few months ago as well. That's similar to this, but and I didn't know that even existed. So this does break down into a state's rights compared to federal rights, in my opinion. I just want to make sure too, and I hope all the listeners understand the chemtrails compared to contrails. Contrails are an actual atmospheric situation
Correct.
based off of humidity content in the air, warm air coming in contact with colder air, humidity content, how long the contrails stay. I just want to make sure
Check
all
this
of
out.
that. And y'all did have, and I was very jealous. Y'all had a very good show where y'all were speaking on this, and I'm sitting at my home drinking my cocktail, going, "I should have been on this show." And controlling hurricanes and things like
He's sitting
that.
down
yeah.
with his Encyclopedia Britannica, like
Dude, he got a
Page
PhD.
37, like,
he
oh.
got a PhD in environmental astrophysics like overnight. This is
y'all,
impressive.
Y'all are looking at someone who was accepted to a meteorology department, St. Louis University. Now, did I
What?
pursue that?
You
yeah,
wanted-
I
wanted
wanted
to be a news guy?
meteorologist.
Dude,
That's
you
right,
wanted to
yeah.
be wrong
not
all the
news.
time?
I wanted to be. I
No,
wanted to-
50%.
I wanted to be right
50%.
50% of the time and keep my job. That was my goal. But I took one look at the mathematical curriculum and said, I can't do that, especially at $30,000 a semester. This is crazy. Go general studies. It is for me.
But it's why I wanted to go here, because there's a huge states' rights argument versus the federal government. And honestly, if the federal government has the statute that says we can do this, well, who's to say the federal government isn't doing it?
Yep.
That's the big thing. That's the big
It exists for a
implication.
reason. It exists for a reason.
The law is being created because someone's obviously doing something.
Well, and normally the federal government doesn't come into play unless it's crossing state lines from one state to the other, interstate. That's when the federal government kicks in on stuff like this. But why the hell are they spraying stuff in our air to start with? You know, what's to say that, the ozone is being depleted by aerosol cans? No, it's the crap you're spraying in the air to try to control the weather. It's crazy.
What I love about this conversation, number one, is there is not one person here who has looked at it and gone, yeah, the government's not trying to control the weather. That's just dumb. Everybody pretty much accepts that the government or governments are doing something somewhere to try and manipulate weather. And they've been cloud seeding since the 40s, to be fair.
Well, the rumors are going out since Katrina that, the government is the one that directed Katrina into New Orleans just so they could totally destroy the city.
And I think that none of us would argue that the government's not just trying to control the weather, but they're trying to control the people as well.
Oh, we already knew that with COVID.
Isn't that so? People create government to control other people. That's what the social contract is all about. It's I agree to behave by these rules as long as I can control you and get you to behave by the same rules. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And you want to just take that extension into, well, we want to try and control the environment. We want to try and control the land. We want to try and control, any biological entities on the land. We want to control, you name it.
Now, this brings up a neat topic. The government keeps pushing, we need to stop this because of climate change, climate change, climate change. Well, what are they doing with this spraying stuff in the air? Our government is trying to change the climate and blame it on us?
You know what they're trying to change? They are trying to change, and they're trying to blame it on us. That we got to take a break and come back with one more segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias.